Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Korok Seed Master Mode Challenge. Today, as always, we are tracking down 20 more seeds, but we are doing so in a couple of interesting areas of the map, or at least areas that were interesting to me, because I don't know that I've been to any of them with great depth in any of my previous playthroughs, so that was kind of fun. So before we jump into the seeds of today's video, make sure you check to see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not, feel free to change that, as I bring videos to you every single day. And if you found this video helpful and or enjoyable, please feel free to give it a like. So the first seed that we'll be looking at today is seed number 741 of our overall adventure, and that is a simple little rock that is just north of the stable that we were just perched atop. We'll need to lift that rock off the top of the Korok's head, and as is tradition around here, we'll then drop it right back down on top of his noggin before moving on to the next seed, which is going to be seed number 742. This is an acorn that is stashed in the end of this log, and I kept up with my regular tradition of breaking those acorns in using a bomb instead of an arrow, as it tends to conserve some resources. So that went pretty smoothly as well. Seed number 743 is going to be another rock. This time it's up on top of a mountain near the Colosseum. And this one was pretty easy to track down as well. We'll also drop this rock back down on top of this guy's noggin, and then we will fly back down the hill to get away from this Keese. Seed number 744 is a ways down the mountain here, and it is in a little structure that is flooded with a very small puddle. You'll just need to follow the fairy lights around this puddle if you don't happen to drop right on top of them where they're paused. Seed number 745 is another rock. This is up in one of the extremities of that Colosseum, and you can get to it relatively easily without having to engage in battle with the Lionel that calls this place home or any of the other enemies, and that is always a positive thing in my eyes. Just outside the Colosseum, we find the starting point for seed number 746, which is a little time trial that we'll need to do, and you can get through that without wandering into the ooze. It might be a little bit difficult, but there's plenty of time for you to get to this time ring before the expiration of that time comes around and you are able to grab that seed. And if you have to try it once or twice, it's not the end of the world, as long as you can navigate that ooze with decent certainty. Seed number 747 is going to be an acorn that's hanging down off of this bridge, and you can kind of see it right now. I'm aiming a little bit low, and you'll actually want to aim from this vantage point about at the archway in order to hit the acorn. Let loose a couple of extra arrows, but at the end of the day, we got the acorn that we were aiming for, and we can move along to the other side of this canyon. You can actually see the spot that we're going for in this frame, and we'll get a better idea of where we're headed just now. Because on the edge of this rocky outcropping, there is a small rock that you will need to make your way up to and take that down in order to free up the next Korok in our overall adventure. And I could have sped this up, but it's not that long of a climb, and it gives you a good indication of what you're able to track down without having to worry too much about where that's coming from. So seed from here works decently well for us, and we can move along to the next seed in our adventure. Even though I didn't show the rock dropping on the head of that last one, you better believe that I did indeed do so. Just a short glide away from that bridge we just came around, there is a magnesis puzzle, and that is the site of seed number 749. And that one's pretty simple, all things considered. The puzzle is among one of the easier ones in terms of the magnesis puzzles that we have interacted with over the course of our journey. And then just down in the valley, a short distance away from that last puzzle, we will have a Korok pattern puzzle that we can complete with this rock that was hiding in the triangle of bushes off there to, I believe it was actually over to the north of this formation, and then walk it slowly down to the area and fill in the blank space of that circle to claim our prize from here. We can then move on to seed number 751. This is a set of fairy lights that runs around these ruins. It's a lot easier to track these ones down during the evening, but if you have a keen eye, you will be able to identify where those fairy lights are running around. You can also kind of listen for them if you're playing the game with headphones. Seed number 752 is a flower path puzzle that we can follow around through these trees, and it's actually relatively simple to track down and follow. I did double back here just to grab a couple of acorns because they're fun little things to throw in recipes every now and again. And it's a very tame flower pattern puzzle. We don't need to climb up on top of anything, or least of all down a rain-spattered cliffside. So that's certainly an improvement as far as I'm concerned. Seed number 753 is another acorn, this one hanging off the branch of a tree. You'll just need to shoot that off the chain that it's suspended from, and that will grant you the seed from this locale. And as I was making my way over to seed number 754, I was struck by lightning, but by proxy of a shield that's just kind of laying on the ground there. So that wasn't fun at all. This one is actually a pile of leaves that's here behind this area, and typically you want to try and burn these leaves away, but if you equip a two-handed metal weapon, you can chop away at the leaves that are obstructing the rock that the Korok is hiding underneath. So we were able to clear this out despite the fact of it being a lightning storm outside. And just for good measure, we'll go ahead and drop this rock back down on top of that guy's head before moving on to the next seed, which is a very short walk away from that last locale. It's just going to be a swift little dive into the ring of lily pads here in the river. And that will grant us the seed number 755 of our adventure and allow us to move a short ways away back over close to the Great Plateau, which you can see off there in the background, for the balloons that are floating around here in kind of a sine wave type motion. There are 3 of them that kind of zip up and down and around this. They actually appear to follow the same path, so if you get a read on the pattern and just kind of hone in on where you're supposed to be, you should be able to pop them, even though I was kind of swirling around and following the pattern to get a feel for that shot. But we didn't waste too many arrows with that, so I can't really complain. Seed number 757 is going to be another set of fairy lights. This one just a short glide down away from that last shooting puzzle that we took out. And as long as you are able to track them down, which is fairly simple, you'll be able to get the seed from there as well. Seed number 758 is going to be another set of fairy lights running around this wooded area. This one I wasn't able to get as much of a read on, which is why you see me running around a bit haphazardly. And I am able to track that down after a couple of minutes of getting a good feel for the pattern. We can now move on to the second to last seed of our overall adventure, which is going to be the it's going to be another pattern puzzle. This one a little bit different because it involves 3 of these rocks, which are in very close proximity to the overall puzzle. You'll just want to lay those in line with the different holes. It doesn't matter which ones you place it in, but they are strategically located pretty close to all of them. And that will allow us to move on to the final seed of today's video, which is going to be another rock nestled in the branches of a tree. And as we make our way up the trunk of this tree, we'll actually be able to do so decently well because some of these larger trees do shield you from the rainfall. And I did get a little bit concerned about it being wet and hard to climb as I got up into the branches here. So I made a couple of assurance moves to make sure that I was able to nestle into the branches of that tree and claim the prize. And what we'll do here is just like what we do every time we find one of these guys. We'll drop the rock back down on top of his head, and it pushes out of the tree and just narrowly avoided it coming down on top of us as well. But that's going to do it for today. Thanks again for watching. Again, please feel free to like if you're enjoying this series or find it helpful and or enjoyable. And we'll be sure to catch you in the next episode as we close in on that 800 seed milestone mark. So thanks again for your time, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day.